The night my wife screamed, "You'll never touch my lips again," wasn't loud because of volume, it was loud because of finality. We were standing in our kitchen, the house we built together echoing with tension that had been growing for months. She wasn't crying. She wasn't emotional. She was furious, defiant, daring me to react. "You don't deserve me," she added, like I was something she had outgrown. For a moment, I just looked at her. 13 years of marriage, sacrifice, compromise, and somehow we had arrived at this battlefield of ego. I expected myself to argue, to defend, to fight for pride. Instead, I simply said, "Okay." One word. Controlled. Then I grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and didn't look back. She thought, "Okay," meant surrender. It didn't. It meant decision. For months, I had watched the pattern. Late nights, new friends, sudden independence wrapped in disrespect. She had begun treating me like a placeholder, not a partner. That night wasn't about a kiss. It was about control. She wanted a reaction, proof that I'd begged to stay. But I was tired of competing for respect inside my own home. The next morning, I didn't call her. I didn't text. I called a lawyer. We had no children, but we shared assets, accounts, investments. And while she assumed I'd crawl back eventually, I moved quietly. I separated finances legally, protected what I built, and prepared for something she never expected: consequences without noise. 3 days later, she came home from a weekend trip to find our joint accounts frozen pending legal review. Not emptied illegally, secured properly. The house was no longer accessible without formal agreement. She called me furious. "You can't just leave me like this," she shouted. I reminded her gently, "You said I'd never touch you again. So I won't." Silence followed. What she didn't know was that her so-called new circle wasn't built for loyalty, it was built for excitement. And excitement fades fast when comfort disappears. Her friends stopped inviting her once the drama wasn't glamorous. The man she'd been entertaining distanced himself once divorce became real. What felt powerful in argument felt fragile in reality. She showed up at my office a week later, pride gone, anger replaced with panic. "We can fix this," she said, voice softer than I'd heard in years. "But reconciliation without respect is temporary." "You didn't lose a kiss," I told her calmly. "You lost stability." That's when the truth hit her. The independence she screamed about was funded by partnership. The lifestyle she defended was built jointly. And when that foundation shifted, everything shifted. I hadn't destroyed her life with cruelty. I had removed myself from a dynamic where disrespect felt normal. The consequences weren't dramatic. They were structural. And structure is what people miss when ego speaks louder than gratitude. Months later, the divorce finalized quietly. No screaming courtroom scenes. Just signatures. The man she once prioritized disappeared when things became inconvenient. Her confidence, once loud and sharp, softened into reflection. As for me, I didn't celebrate. I rebuilt. Peacefully. What destroyed her life wasn't revenge. It was reality. She believed I would tolerate anything because I always had. She mistook patience for weakness. That night in the kitchen, when she screamed I'd never touch her lips again, she thought she was taking power. Instead, she handed me clarity. And clarity is dangerous when someone has finally had enough. I walked out without shouting. I left without drama. And sometimes, the quietest exit leaves the loudest lesson.